Hi again. Just wanted to show you some of the interesting plants that are coming up at the moment. This is one of my favourites. It's a summer flowering bulb. It's called Hymenocallis, and it has these wonderful decorative flowers with these swirls of petals, and it's not particularly long lasting. It will probably flower for around about 2 weeks. If the current forecast of stormy winds doesn't destroy it in between. Some of the other things that I'd like to show you, something that I like to do with the garden is to grow cut flowers, and I've got a pot full here of Alstromeria. Name suddenly disappeared out of my memory. One of the things of growing old. These are wonderful for cut flowers, and you don't cut them off when they're ready to pick, to put in a vase. You just grab hold of the stem and give it a yank, and it'll come away from the base of the root, and then you just cut it down to what size you want. And this is a particularly good variety because it'll grow to about 2 foot, so you can get really nice long stems on them. The canna lilies are all coming up. Great foliage for most plants. My grandmother-in-law's tub that we've had in the garden. We've had this for about 30 years and never used it, but it's coming to its own this year. The garden is taking shape. Another plant that I really want to show you, if you like foxgloves, then you might really like this one. This is something that came out about 3-4 years ago. It's Digiplexis, and it's a cross between Digitalis, which is the common foxglove, and the canary foxglove, which is Isoplexis. So they combined the names and they called it Digiplexis. And this is wonderful from the point of view that you can grow this. It grows as a perennial. Now, if you look it up online and the textbooks, it tells you that it doesn't like growing in wet, damp soils. They need to be well drained, and this particular one is in solid clay. This is the 3rd year it's flowered. Unlike the ordinary Digitalis, this produces 6 or 7 stems. In this case there's at least 8, 9, 10. I can see 10 stems on this, and this will flower for a considerable period of time. Wonderful new addition to the garden and does really well. Most of the stuff's starting to come up now, especially the herbaceous. I'm really looking forward to it. One of my favourites as well is Polemonium, but this one struggled a little bit. It didn't really like too much of that wet weather. Another favourite is Astrantia. This again is a lovely flower, and it will grow for flower for at least up to a month, which is quite something. The oleander is starting. The buds are starting to swell, so another week or two, and this oleander will be out in flower. Beautiful double pink flower. One of my favourite roses in the garden is this red one. Couldn't tell you the name of it. There's so many of them. My daughter bought this for one of my birthdays, and it is just the most spectacular rose you'll see. It starts off, as the buds start to open, you can see these black tinges to the petals. That's what it's supposed to be, and it has the most exotic scent. The garden is just wonderful at the moment, and this will flower at least twice this year. There's at least 20 to 30 flowers on it at the moment, and it's just a wonderful thing to have in the garden. I can't stress how good it is to have roses in the garden, because they give this repeat flowering and they're so good. something that I've had in the garden for about 10-12 years now is this peony, and this is the second year it's flowered. It's just starting to go over, but it's this wonderful pink colour. So if you've got the patience to wait for these things, they do eventually come through. I remember one of my clients that I was with for about 30 years, and during 15 of those years she had a wisteria on her wall, a purple wisteria that she bought, and it had never flowered. And come the 12th year, she said to me, if it doesn't flower this year, I'm going to take it out. And lo and behold, it flowered that year. But the most amazing thing was, it wasn't purple, it was white, and it had these amazing 2-foot long flower racemes, which was just superb. I said to you in one of the other videos that my garden has 2 peaks. This is one of them, where the roses are all out, or most of them are out, and they do look lovely. And then there'll be a second peak later in the year when we'll get a second flush from all of these different roses, which is superb. The dahlias are starting to take off now, won't be long. The coloured foliage is brilliant. This is the Lady of Shalott again. The colour of this is sort of a salmony colour, and the form of the petals and the rose is just breathtaking. Shame you haven't got smell-o-vision, because you'd realise how wonderful the scent is. I think I've mentioned most of the things that I wanted to show you. I was asked if I could film in landscape instead of portrait. Somebody was asking so that they could see the garden. Whether or not this will work, I'm not sure, because I was told by somebody that I should always film in portrait, but we shall see what's going to happen. Something else I wanted to mention was the grass. Because it's been so dry, it's best if you don't cut your grass anywhere near as short as you would normally cut it. This puts a strain on the grass if you cut it really short, unless you've got a watering system in progress, in which case you can cut it as short as you like if you're watering it all the time. But most people can't keep a reasonable sized lawn from drying out, so it's better to leave it. And just to raise, so don't cut it as often, and raise up the cut so it's not quite so short. Another Alstromeria that I had 2 pots, but I was running out of space, so I put that pot this year into the